All right, and we're live. Hello, everybody. For those of you who haven't met me before, hi, I'm Katie Silverwings. I am a glassblower and textile artist currently studying glass at the University for Creative Arts in Farnham in the UK. Welcome to my apartment slash craft nest, I think is what I'm going to start calling it. This is the craft nest. I, like a bird, perch in the top of an old church in the rafters and make pretty things and something of a mess. So today I am only going to be on here for probably half an hour, 45 minutes or something like that, because, you know, it's getting late here and I suddenly realized I need to actually work on my patchwork today. And since when I work on patchwork, I live stream and share it with you. It's time for the live stream. So today I'm going to be working on this whole thing again. These are right where I left them the last time. So these are my blocks that are going to go into a long patchwork banner, kind of like, let's see if I can turn it, kind of like the ones hanging up from my wall there. You can kind of see up on this side the last one I did, the first one I did, and a few other samples that are just hanging there from corkboards up on my wall. But the one I'm making today, I have been doing some sketches that I'll share a bit later. Once I see if anybody's around, I'll bring those out probably when I get to the point of adding the next strip onto these and show you kind of what this is going to look like. I am going to be doing some interesting things with it, and I'm looking forward to that. But for right now, I'm going to be clipping these apart with my hand from each other. I chain piece, so everything's all like a garland stuck together. I'm going to be clipping these apart with my handy dandy snips. They look kind of like a bird. I love these things. I have a pair back in the States that are steel that my Nana passed down to my mom and she's given to me. So when I'm back in the States someday, I'll be using the metal ones because those are nicer. But these work. They're just a pair of scissors blades with a very nice pointy top. They're great for doing this sort of thing. So, as usual, for those of you who have been here before or not, I have a very conversational style when I'm doing these live streams. I do this more for myself than I do for anybody else, really, so that I can have the experience of talking to people. Because, as you know, the world is what the world is, and quite a few of us have been asked to stay in our homes. I am staying in my home and working on things. I don't. Hi, Lupe. Stalwart coming in to see again. So since I am not going out, I talk to my camera every day if I can help it, every other day, something like that. In reality, it seems right now. And today I have been doing way too much staring at the essay I'm writing, and now it is time for some patchwork. And so if anyone has questions or comments for me, please leave them off to the side and I will talk in your general direction. For now, I'm going to get all these separated because last time I was working on these, it got really late when I was finishing up sewing them, so I just pressed one open to see how it would look, and I did not clip and press the rest. So today I'm going to start by clipping and pressing these. So to show you one of those, this is where we are right now. I've got several more layers of strips to put on these before I'm done with them. So I hope you are all having a good day, etc., and that things are going better than they have been for you wherever you happen to be. Things are kind of status quo here for me, but status quo here for me is being in my house and working on my schoolwork. I have one deadline on Monday, but luckily I've got everything done for that, so I just have to put it all in a file in a PDF and mail it on and send it on to my professors, and I'm done. So that's great. I have another project I'm working on right now that is an essay or otherwise written document about my current body of work, and what I'm actually doing is some academic writing about the nature of context and how it plays into what I'm doing, and then adding lots and lots of pictures. So it's mostly going to be a lot of pictures with descriptive text, but that's the assignment. So that's due not Monday, or not next week, but the week after, on the Thursday, I believe, is when that's due. And then my major project with all of my documentation and pictures of the things that I've been making, like these, is due the week after that. So I'm getting very close to the end of my bachelor's degree here, doing the whole degree in glass. Well, really, it's the glass ceramics jewelry metalwork program, but my focus is glass. So that's what they're going to have on my certificate, is specialist glass. even though I've not been really playing with any glass for a while. Okay, rebuilding a wiring harness sounds interesting and tedious and somewhat messy. It sounds messy. But I hope you have fun with that. I do not envy you that. I am not looking forward to the day when I have to learn to do maintenance on cars and stuff, or even just, there's a reason I don't want to own my own glassblowing studio, and that reason is having to do maintenance on furnaces. I'm not really looking forward to ever having to deal with that. Babysitting a few thousand degrees worth of glass and a very fussy machine with piping and stuff is not something I actually am very interested in, but I know I'll end up learning eventually because it's one of those things. But at least I know once I do have my mobile glass blowing studio set up in a few years, I have at least one pit stop in Texas I can make if something goes wrong with my rig. Just teasing. But and the weather here is still lovely. I'm still sneezing on and off because there are various trees around that are blooming because it is spring. But it's been quite nice and sunny today, which I still can't get over the fact that I've been in England for 3 years and finally it's a spring where the weather is really, really nice. And here I sit in my house. I did go outside today for a little bit, a little walk around the building. Needed to take the garbage out from my kitchen. Also, aw, thank you. I might hold you to that in a couple years. Just wait. But yeah, so it's been nice weather here. I hope wherever you are, the weather is at least being friendly. I know it's getting close to storm season back in Texas, so I wish you all the best with dealing with that. Again, I kind of miss the experience of a thunderstorm, the part where you're just listening to the rain and the thunder, and not the part with tornadoes and hail. Just the rest of the thunderstorms. The rest of a thunderstorm, that's what I miss. Not hail, not tornadoes. Everything else is kind of nice, actually, as long as you have good lightning protection on your house or wherever you are. I'm a weird creature like that, but really, I'm just looking forward to the day when I can leave my house and go and see new things that are not the walls that I live between. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that have the same sort of itchy feet going on. I guess it's a good time to start polishing off the whole bucket list and figuring out where all you'd like to see once you're allowed to travel again, which is on my list of things to do. The order is of my list of things to do is finish schoolwork and then figure out new and interesting places to go and start applying for stuff. But ooh, camping weekend. I am so jealous. I would really prefer being out camping this weekend than being in my house. But, you know, eventually, someday, I will get to go camping again and be outside with no people in the general vicinity, but still outside. Yeah. I mean, I haven't really been around other people for the last 4 weeks, but it's more I would love to be somewhere without the constant road noise because I live on the main street here in Farnham, pretty much. My building is right next to it, and I have one of my windows that faces it. So all of the traffic that goes through Farnham, because of the strange little one-way road system in this town, pretty much most of it will drive past my house if it's going to be driving through town. So anyway, here's our stack of 34 blocks, and I'm going to turn around and start pressing these. So as you can see, it is starting to get dark outside because it's evening here, but kind of did that to myself because I was working on stuff and lost track of the time. And as usual, I'm going to just flip my iron on, let it get warm, and then I'll start pressing these open. And I can show you, this is the one that I have pressed already. I'm alternating between a light and a dark shade of each color. in these blocks, and they're eventually going to match this, which is glass, that's going to eventually go into some of my glass pieces. So that has these alternating stripes between an opaque and a transparent glass. In these, it's a light and a dark one. And that should be long enough now for that to be warm. So I'm just going to press these open. Move that down there so I can move here a little bit closer so you can see what I'm doing, hopefully a little bit. Someday I'll have better camera setup. Someday, I promise, but just haven't had time to think about it. After I'm done with all of my schoolwork, I will sort that out. And as always, if anyone has questions about my work or what I'm doing or anything like that, please do feel free to ask. I like answering questions. And there's another one. I'm actually really happy. This fabric, when it's in the fabric form, looks bubblegum pink, but when it's in this context, it does actually look like kind of a light red as opposed to a pink, which, yes, there's a difference. It's still pink, but it doesn't look as pink when it's with the other colors. I don't know quite how that worked out, but it really does look less pink now that it's cut and with the other pieces of fabric. I do really like how these blocks are turning out. So my goal for the day is to, at the very least, get all of these pressed. And then depending on how much time I have left and how dark it's gotten after that, I will be tearing the next set of strips, and I may be starting to pin some of them. Again, short day for today, just because I spent more time working on some of my computer-based stuff today and lost track of time, so it's kind of getting late here, and I will still need to make dinner after this. But I've kind of shifted back to being partially nocturnal, so it's got a nice kind of a cloud formation in that one, I think. What do you think? My favorite part with working with the ice-dyed fabrics is the sort of overall patterns that they create when they're cut up and stitched together, because it always looks like some bits are traveling between the different blocks, and it's a really fun sort of fabric to work with. There's another one. And of course, if you like watching me do this and talking to me, hanging out, and know anybody who would be interested in this, please feel free to share the video with your friends. I'm really nice. Service call in Darty. That sounds fascinating. Actually, it says sound like fun and just quite a bit of a drive to get out there. Then again, it always has been. But I hope your service call goes well, Lupe. There's a lot of these. I always forget just how many blocks there are, and then I'm doing something with them, and it just takes forever. And it's because I'm doing 34 blocks all at once. But I have to finish these blocks so that I can make the rest of what's going to go into this particular banner. There's another one. Last one. So now I'm going to turn off my iron and show you that last one. Isn't that pretty? So the next strip is going to go up here, and it's going to be dark blue. So if you didn't see my dark blue fabric before, get ready, because this stuff is just the best thunderstorm in West Texas shade of blue ever. Just a second. I used some of this fabric on my last banner, and everyone seemed to really like it. So here it is. And I am still very proud of this fabric. It's just got this nice range of tones of blue, and it is so pretty, especially when it's like, it's pretty as one big piece of fabric, and then it's pretty when it's stripped into blocks, and I am just so proud of this. So this was ice dyed, and it had 3 different shades of blue dye put on it, and they kind of decided where to arrange themselves into a pattern, and I just could not be happier with how this turned out. So I'm going to cut, well, rather tear, because this is 100% cotton poplin. It is nice straight grain fabric, so I can tear my strips for these rather than having to cut them. I'm going to tear a few strips of this, and then I'm going to pin them all up, and then I think I'm going to stop after I pin them, so I'll pin them all up, and then tomorrow I'll go in and sew them. So I'm using 1.5" wide strips for this. Just have to line up my quilting ruler and take my scissors down off the wall and just snip and prepare for ripping sound. And here we have, and I'll show it to you again after it's ironed, but here we have what I was talking about with that nice deep blue fabric. Oh my goodness, this fabric makes me so happy. I mean, it's lovely. Thanks, Dad. I'm glad you like it. So the other thing I like about ice dyeing is that aside from washing the excess dye out of the fabric, it actually doesn't use a lot of water, because you just have enough ice to cover the fabric. And then all you have to do is wash it out. And I will say, washing out fabric, especially with blue and red, takes time, just because the dye has to be washed out of it. I want to do a project someday doing patchwork and glass inspired by indigo, because, you know, indigo is so pretty, and I just haven't had a chance to work with it. I was going to see this term if I could get inducted in the indigo vats on campus so that I could dye some of my fabric in that process. Needless to say, that hasn't happened for quite a number of reasons. But that is one of the things I'm going to be exploring in the future, is dyeing fabric in indigo and other natural source dyes, seeing what I can do with that, just because I do like working with dye and fabric, and I like the idea of playing with glass to mimic that and all sorts of things. Anyway, it's kind of a shame to rip all this up, but I do have notes on how I got this effect, so I can always get something similar. Ta-da! My wingspan is not wide enough. Like, this fabric is, what width-wise, is right at my wingspan, so tearing it sometimes is a bit of a problem. And let me just show you that strip. And there you can see some more of that nice storm cloudy ice dye effect. This one even has some lightning bolts in it. So I'm going to put my fabric away, fold it up nicely first. And so I'm going to fold this up, set it back over on my fabric rack. Again, I'll just hold that up for you. Yes, I will take a few pictures for it. Thank you, Lupe, my official picture reminder person. because I do need to be documenting what I'm doing. I have got pictures of this fabric from when I dyed it, which is good. So now that's all folded up. That can go back onto the rack over here. And where's my, I have to grab my phone. To take some pictures. Just gonna move one of these here. And just take one of these strips real quick. All right, so now that I've taken some pictures, thank you for reminding me. I'm gonna set my iron and things aside for a moment because or my scissors and things, because I need to iron these strips so they'll be nice and flat when I pin them. So iron goes on. As you can see, tearing the fabric does leave me with these nice long straight strips. I just have to iron them a little bit so that they're not wrinkly and so that the puckers lay down on the edges. So here's that first strip again. And now that it's a little bit flatter, you can really see those lovely patterns. So there's one. I end up getting strings all over me doing this. Yeah, I find that that just helps pulling it through the iron like that. I find, I don't know if this is a thing that a lot of people do or not. I find it helps to even out the stretching in the fabric. And again, there we have some lovely storm cloud type effects. And as you can see outside my window, it has gotten very dark just very, very quickly. But, you know, that's what I get for starting late in the day. A little bit of tension also helps, I think. Again, this is just my opinion. Helps to even out the puckers on the edges from where I've torn it. And there we have it. Another lovely strip with some great storm clouds in it. So now that the strips are done, I can turn my iron back off. I do have the window open because this little iron puts out a lot of heat, and without the window open, it gets kind of warm right here. So now I'm going to get my pins out and start pinning all of these blocks onto the strip. There's my pins. And the blue strip is going to go right on top of the second blue strip. scissors out for this. So just line, I'm going to move this stack over here so you can maybe see what I'm doing. So I just line this up onto the new strip and put 2 pins in, one on either seam. Pinning right on the seams helps me keep those flat when I'm sewing so that they don't get all over the place. And then just snip away from the rest of the strip. And I'm going to show you this first one so you can see what I mean. So there's that side. You can kind of see how the colors are working like that. And there's this side. So I'm just going to go through and pin these. And yeah, so again, this is a good time. If anybody has questions for me about my work or anything else, now's a good time to ask them because I can very easily talk about things while I'm pinning. Sometimes when I'm sewing, I can't talk as much. So if you would like me to talk about anything in particular, please do ask. And just a little bit to cut off on this last one on this strip. I love it when there's at least enough fabric right at the tail of the strip to get most of a block pinned to it. I'll show you what I mean. So this is nice because I don't have as much to cut off here. So, all right, so this is why I tore many strips, or 3 strips. Also, you see what I mean about it being kind of loud on the street here some days? There are some people who do not have adequate muffling on their vehicles. And because I live on the main road through Farnham's one-way system, I hear them. And they're in a hurry. And again, because I don't always do the live stream at the same time each day, and there are some days where I'll get a headache or something and I can't do this, there's another one. It really might be a good idea to like and or follow my page. Not that I'm fishing for likes or anything, but more if you like this content and want to watch me when I'm doing these videos, the best way to make sure that you know when I'm doing one, because my schedule is sometimes a little bit sporadic, even though I have all the time in the world on my hands right now between working on my schoolwork and the fact that I get headaches because of the pollen in the air. If you're following my page, then it'll send you a notification and tell you when I'm actually online live streaming. So if you want to keep seeing this, highly recommend you do that. And if not, that's fine too. I mean, as long as you enjoy what you're watching. Because I enjoy making these little live streaming videos for you. I don't know if you can hear that, but I certainly can, and it was loud. I'm just going to take a picture of this real quick, because I like how this looks set up like this. No, I don't want a picture of my nose. There we go. See, I remembered to take pictures. And now, let's see, that one goes up here with the other big pins that I've been sorting out from my pin drawer. Have to get my pin jar out, and okay, so you could hear that good because it was loud. So here, of course, we have my little glass jar that I stick pins in, or I drop the pins in when I am sewing. Yes, I made this little glass piece because I am a glass blower, even though I've not been in a glass studio for a very long time. At least it feels like a long time. 4 weeks is a long time to not get to play with hot glass in my world. But this is a piece that I made that's the perfect size and shape for sitting next to my sewing machine, so I can pluck the pins out as I'm done. And then when I'm ready to transfer them to the dish that I use for pinning, just like that. And now I have a little nest of pins. Well, it's a warm evening partially because my apartment holds heat, and partially because I've had the iron on. So if I have the window open, it helps not to get ventilated, but also because the heating system in this building has not been turned off yet, even though my radiator's right here, and even though I've got the radiator shut off, it's still warm. And yeah, so standing here, it gets a little bit warm while I'm working, and so I have the window open so that I don't get overheated. Because surprisingly, for somebody who plays in a glass blowing studio a lot, I am sensitive to extremes of temperature, and I get overheated very easily. So, of course, when I'm in the studio, I go between zones of heat and cold, and I tend to have a bandana on that I can get wet on working in case I start getting too hot. Um, but here in my apartment, I kind of just have to have the windows open for a cross breeze, and so that I can iron things without getting muggy. And luckily, I did cut one more strip. As they get longer, they need are bigger. They need longer bits of strip added to them, so that it takes up the strips faster. but I'm making progress. Getting there. And this is the last one. All right, so I'm going to set my little strip into my basket of strips and show you this. There's the last one. So I am going, just because it's gotten kind of late, I'm going to show you my stack of pinned bits. I will be sewing these tomorrow, so I'm going to set them by the sewing machine. And I am going to wish you all a safe and healthy evening or rest of the day. And I hope that wherever you are, things are slowly starting to get better for you, or that they will soon. Remember, no matter what's going on, you will be able to get through this. We are a very resilient species. It just, sometimes it takes a while to get through things, but whatever's going on, take a breath. You will be able to face this, even if it takes a while. And sometimes you do have to check out of it for a while to be able to face it. But this will get better. Sooner or later, we will get the world back to a state where we can freely move about again and where we can be with our loved ones again. But until then, I hope that you're taking care of yourselves. I'm still struggling with teaching myself to take care of myself, because I am the worst about remembering that I do, in fact, need to go outside, or that I do need to stop working on things and relax every now and then, or that I need to take some time to clean up my kitchen or different things like that. I am the worst at taking care of myself. I'm still working on that, but it's okay. You're going to be able to get through your things. I'm going to be able to get through mine. And I hope that you have a good rest of your day. And I will hopefully see you tomorrow. So, bye.